Hi folks, I thought I'd come and give you another walk and talk while it was a nice day. It was a nice spider's web there I nearly walked into. I thought I'd share that with you. But yeah, the madness continues. The madness continues. The lockdown has been eased a little bit. People seem to be out and going about their business a little bit more. Hasn't been eased completely. They've still got all of this social distancing in place. In fact, in Victoria, what are they saying? They're saying they want the, they say they want the Victorian COVID-19 powers permanently expanded. Permanently expanded. Like we said back in the beginning, folks, like I said, like many people said, once you give these governments these powers, they never go away. A few spiders' webs here in the forest today, folks. But once you give the government these powers, they never go away. You know, they'll implement powers to protect you, but then the powers never go away and the powers are used to repress you, which of course is what this whole thing has been about right since the beginning. They've managed to shut down the whole world over nothing. Over nothing. And everywhere I hear a lot of people saying, oh, Trump and Putin are on our side. Trump's been pushing back against Bill Gates and he doesn't like Fauci anymore and this and that, and Putin's on our side. Folks, Russia is locked down completely. There's places in Russia where you can't even drive your own car. No private vehicles allowed. I mean, the lockdown's everywhere, folks. There's nobody who's on our side in this. No politicians anyway. You know, the only people who are on our side is the people. A lot of people are getting it, but they're being lulled into inaction via the stimulus packages they're given. You know, here the extra money people are getting on their dole, the $1,200 that the government gave out, I think I've done that twice now. Well, the $750, whatever it was. I think it was $1,200 in the United States. But you know, the money that they give you, this is simply a band-aid. Some financial guy described it as the anesthetic that they use while they're operating on you and removing your vital organs. And that pretty soon the anesthetic will wear off and people will realise that they've had their vital organs removed and that we are heading for one of the worst depressions in history. I mean, we're already totally exceeded a lot of the stuff that's happened in 1933. It's just that people haven't noticed it because they've had their anesthetic. Because the government gave them these little bits of appeasement in as much as it gave them these little handouts of cash. And so they didn't really see their organs being removed. But many of them have been. That's the situation, folks. Many of them have been. Like I said, the powers aren't going to go away. They want to expand the powers permanently in Victoria. And the police that are enforcing these powers have got nice new uniforms with protective services written on them now. Everything they're doing is to protect you, folks. They're going to come and repress you and beat you if you go outside and break the lockdown rules and arrest you and put you in jail and all of this stuff to protect you. Or to protect the other people from you. Not because you're infected, but because you're simply thinking freely, thinking clearly, and you know, just not doing as you're told. They don't like that when people don't do as they're told. That's what all this is about, folks. I mean, that's why they've done it the way they have, just to see how far they could push people and how easily people would do as they are told. They like that. They like people to do as they're told. And who's telling us to do these things, folks? Well, again, you know, it's our Prime Minister, of course, Scott Morrison, lovely man that he is. Lovely man is Mr. Morrison. Does everything he can to help the people, locks the country down over a virus which isn't real. Again, so many doctors speaking out about the fact that this pandemic is a hoax. This virus is not real, folks. None of this that they're doing to us needs to be done at all. It's all just part of the plan. But who's telling us we should do this? Well, of course, it was Neil Ferguson, Dr. Fauci. Here in Australia, it's Brendan Murphy. There's another spider web. They seem to be everywhere, folks. Brendan Murphy, our chief medical officer. I've been giving him a little bit of a serve lately. I think he kind of deserves it, though. I think he deserves the serve that I'm giving him. The Australian bush, folks. It's nice, huh? I like these walks in the park. I do enjoy them. It's just a nice little trail to come and cruise down. But anyway, yeah, Brendan Murphy. Brendan Murphy is giving us our medical advice. Now, you or I, we're not doctors. We're not qualified to give medical advice. We're not allowed to give medical advice. You know, if you or I give medical advice, we get in trouble for doing that. There's some people I think I mentioned recently. There was a guy in England whose name I know, David Noakes, who was curing people with GC-MAF. He is in trouble with the law for giving people medical advice when he's not a doctor, basically. Prescribing medical procedures when he's not a doctor. Well, in this country we have, as I said, Brendan Murphy. Brendan Murphy is a professor. He's not a doctor, he's a professor. He's our chief medical officer. This guy's a professor and he's handing out medical advice. Not only is he handing out medical advice, he's advising the Minister of Health, a man called Greg Hunt. He made a statement the other day saying he can't believe there are still doctors out there who are saying that vaccinations are not safe. What's wrong with these people? And he can't believe that there are still doctors doing this. Well, maybe they're doing it because they're doctors, Greg, you dickhead, because you're not a doctor. Greg Hunt is our health minister. A couple of years ago, he was the minister for sport. Before that, he was the minister for climate change. So how the hell is he the Minister for Health and able to offer medical advice when he's not a doctor and he's telling doctors that they don't know what they're doing when they say vaccinations are safe? Like I said, maybe it's because they're doctors, Greg, you fucking idiot. How the hell are you people who have no medical experience at all allowed to even dictate any medical advice at all? If I was to offer medical advice, I would get in trouble. But here's you, not a doctor, you're appointed the Minister for Health, you're advocating medical advice to the entire frickin' country. You've locked the entire country down, you've destroyed so many people's jobs, and you are doing so much to damage the health of the public, and you're the health minister? Fucking hell, mate, you're an embarrassment. You're a fucking embarrassment. This whole government is a fucking embarrassment. Brendan Murphy is a fucking embarrassment. ScoMo's an embarrassment. And you, Minister of Health, Greg Hunt, who's now giving advice to doctors on whether we should vaccinate, grow the fuck up. Sorry, folks, but I tell you, these people get my blood up. They fucking get my blood up. You're not a doctor, Mr. Hunt. You don't know shit about medicine, obviously, because of the cures that your government is prescribing for this non-existent virus. The cure is far worse than the disease. The amount of suffering, the toll, the true toll, like I mentioned on the last report, are the people that are not having their operations, the people that are going to lose their homes, that have lost their jobs, the amount of suicides. I got an email from someone yesterday saying a close friend of his has just committed suicide. He was 50 years old. He was prone to depression, but he left behind a wonderful family, a wife and 2 children, because the lockdown was just too much for him. You know, he's lost everything. He's lost his job, and now he can't go to the gym. He can't go and socialise. He can't go to the kids' sports and do any of that. He can't go to his sports. He can't go to the beach. He can't do anything. And it just became too much for him. You know, the amount of suicides from the lockdown, I would say, has well exceeded the amount of deaths from COVID in this country anyway. I don't know what the suicide toll is at the moment, but a lot of people are feeling this. You know, the cure is going to cause so much suffering down the line for this virus, which has killed 101 people in this country of over 25 million people, and you've shut the whole country down, closed all our borders, put all these people out of work, and you're patting yourselves on the back for what a great job you're doing and containing the virus by all you're doing is giving the police more powers to put people in jail for being people and telling us to all stand 1.5 meters apart like it fucking means something. Well, the virus can't jump 6.1 feet, it can jump 6 feet. It can live on surfaces for God knows how long, but it can't live on the surfaces of things that are mailed to you from Amazon. It can't survive in Walmart, it can't survive in Woolworths, it can't survive in Kmart, can't survive in Target, but you can't go to restaurants or the beach or parks or any of this other stuff because it can survive there. What the fuck are these rules? You know, all of this government is an abusive office. All of you people are in abusive office. You should be tried for fucking terrorism, a lot of you. The entire Australian government and every media outlet here that's pushed this hoax should be tried for terrorism against the people. The damage that you're doing to the children. People who actually think this is real, you fucking maggots, honestly. The damage you've done to people. This 50-year plan you've had, and like I said on the last report, folks, they've had this in motion for 50 years. You go to the World Economic Forum and look at some of the stuff it says there. Listen to some of the introductory videos. They've had this in place for 50 years. And all the shit you're doing under the guise of protecting us. Thermal scans at supermarkets and shit. Are you kidding me? Thermal scans to take your temperature when you go into a supermarket, like it actually means something. You could be incubating a virus for 2 weeks before you get a temperature from it. You get temperatures from all sorts of things. You're going to have women going in there on menopause, women going in there having a hard day on their period or whatever. The temperature's going to be up 0.5 degrees. You're not going to let them in. You're going to want to send them away to get them tested with one of your testing kits, which will test a poor positive. Then you can tell them to go into quarantine or disappear them or whatever you want to do under the guise of protecting them with protective services because you just care about it so much. You are so full of shit, you people. And when are the people of Apathalia going to wake up to how you're being scammed by these scumbags? These fucking parasites masquerading as government folks. They've stolen this country and now they're stealing your life from you, making you wear a mask everywhere, which is making you sick. These masks make you sick. They don't help you. They don't protect you from anything. Wearing a mask on a fucking aircraft, for God's sake, folks. The air on an aircraft is recycled. Wearing a mask doesn't do shit. It's the doctors must be laughing. They must be laughing their heads off. They would look at the concept of wearing masks on aircraft and wearing masks in cars and these thermal scans in supermarkets and shit, and they must be laughing their frickin' heads off. You know, many of them are. Many of them are speaking out, but of course you don't hear about that on the mainstream media because the mainstream media is full of shit and they're the ones that are pushing this hoax even more than the fucking idiots in government. I mean, most of the people in government, half of them, folks, I mean, there's a saying that, you know, one should never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity. I don't know who said it, but it's very relevant. You know, half of these politicians are just complete fucking idiots and they don't know what they're doing. They just believe what they're told. You know, believe what Brendan Murphy tells them because he's the chief medical officer, even though he doesn't have a medical degree and knows nothing about fucking medicine and obviously doesn't even know how viruses work. Although he probably does. He's just part of the crew pushing the same agenda. Probably part of the same old pedophile club that runs most of Canberra, I would say. I don't trust any of these people, folks. Look at the work of Karen Brewer. She'll show the connections that all these people have to the same pedophile clubs. But anyway, folks, I don't know. A little bit emotional on the talk today, I suppose. It's nice to be out in the sun again. But yeah, I mean, a little bit emotional. People need to get angry, folks. There's such a thing as wholesome, righteous anger. You know, I'm not a violent person at all. But I don't take shit from people, and it's so frustrating to see the world that we are allowing to be created for our kids. And I don't know what's going on with the social distancing. I mean, I'm hearing mixed reports. But I'll tell you, folks, if they're doing social distancing at your kid's school, you should not be sending your kids there. Bit of noise here. I'm trying to get out of the noise and out of the wind. But you shouldn't be selling your kid. Shouldn't be selling your kids to a school which is practicing social distancing. I mean, this is damaging. This is harmful to your child. You know, and don't allow your children to be taught to be scared of other people and scared of touching people and scared of sex and scared of all the things they're saying. You know, this whole crap they're doing now with teaching children about masturbation. The WHO recommends that children 4 years old be taught about masturbation. They're saying, oh, because they start to be interested in their parts and they should know why it feels the way it does when they touch it and all that sort of stuff. No, they don't need to know that. They'll figure that out later on. This may seem perfectly benign to some people, folks, when you read the reading on the WHO website and what they say about it. It's all under the guise of helping them, of course. WHO isn't helping anybody. What it's about, folks, is activating their sexuality at an early age. You know, getting them to think about something and ponder something that you don't think about when you're a kid. You don't have any real concept of sexuality when you're a kid. You might think, oh, gee, that feels pretty nice when I touch down there, but you don't have any concept of what sexuality is. They want kids to ponder it and think about it, and it's a way of activating their sexuality early. So they get over-sexualized, they destroy themselves by the time they're teenagers, and they don't breed. It's all part of the same thing, folks. It leads towards this whole gender-neutral bullshit world they want to create. They don't want us breeding. They want us to be able to be led into the machine, into the matrix. The best way to do that is to start with the kids at a young age. Get them into social distancing when they start school. Get them apart from each other so they're not touching each other, they're not in contact with each other. No human contact. Teach them that the only human contact they have sexually is with themselves. Get them thinking about it early enough to know what it's about and to want to be involved in it and to want to find out more about it, which is what they're doing. Yeah, you can give them sex robots and all that sort of thing. Teach them that you know, sperm carries the deadly COVID, so you can't have sex. You need to get your baby from the exogenesis chambers, get it from the lab. You can jerk off and donate your sperm, and then a woman can jerk off and donate her eggs, and then we'll grow it for you. God knows what they'll give you. But this is what they want. They want people completely removed of their humanity, and that's what all this is doing. The wearing of masks is the first part. It's all part of the ritual. You know, not only is it slaves used to wear masks, they don't want you communicating with each other. They want this self-shaming. You know, this is the first communication we have with each other, is we smile at each other. You see someone, you have eye contact, you smile. You can't do that now. People don't even want to have eye contact anymore. And because they've got their heads down, they're shamed because they're wearing a mask. They think everybody's toxic, everybody might be contaminated. This is the first point of human contact. And they've taken that away from us. And it's just going to get further and further and further gradually if we let it happen. I mean, I see this as a huge opportunity, folks, a huge opportunity to wake up to things. I mean, just think about it. The schools are so fucked up now. You don't want to send your kids there. So you've got a chance to keep your kids home now. Educate them. Educate them in real stuff. Educate them in how to grow a garden. Educate them in life. Educate them in what the world should be like. You don't have to do all this government bullshit. Don't get all the government tags and all the mobile phones and all the shit that the TV tells them they should have. You can get away from all that now. You know, all the people who are working at these stupid mundane jobs that were leading you nowhere that you thought were important, now maybe you can see how unimportant they really were. And now you can get in touch with your life again, get in touch with your family again, do something like that. Find a whole new way out of this. Start connecting with the people around you and build a new world out of this. You know, all we've got to do is put down the tech and get in touch with our humanity again. And we have every opportunity to do that. I mean, we can still use the tech to a degree, but you don't use it to the degree that they want you to. You know, don't go to just these big chain stores and places where you've got to take your cell phone, you've got to use these tracing apps and all this bullshit. I mean, it's not everywhere that you've got to do that. So, you know, if there's places where you have to do that, then just don't go there, go other places. I mean, there's ways we can get through this, folks. This is a huge opportunity for mankind to get back in touch with what it means to be mankind. rather than what this machine wants us to be. So, you know, we could look at it that way. And I see it as a huge opportunity, and that's what I'm hoping people will embrace in this. You know, what we've got to do is break down this fear in people. This fear that people have that, you know, the virus is real and there's this terrible pandemic and people are infectious. I mean, lead by example in what you do, folks. I saw something ridiculous on Jeff Berwick's latest video. He showed these people in, I don't know where it was, I mean somewhere, but they were using the pool noodles in Italy to wear on your heads to social distance. He found this other place where they're using these buffer tables. They got these tables with tractor tires or tractor tubes around them, like you're going swimming in a rock pool or something. These big surf tubes. And they've got another place where they've got these huge plastic crowns they're wearing on their heads. I mean, this is ridiculous, folks. This is the sort of stuff they're making people do to go to a restaurant. I'll play a little bit of it here so you can check it out.
The great government people have gone out and put like chalk circles all over the park to let you know where you can sit or not sit.
Dolores Park has a new look now to help with social distancing. Take a look. The Recreation and Parks Department painted white chalk circles all around the park in the Mission District. Each circle is about 6 feet wide. The city hopes those circles will help people keep a safe distance away from each other, at least from people who are not part of their household, while they're enjoying the park and the outdoors.
So welcome to your new normal, where we're all basically little bubbles. All for a super, super dangerous pandemic. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. And now, in Germany again, I don't know what's going on in Germany, but at Burger King, they're now handing out social distancing crowns to wear on your head so you don't come close to anyone. Where are all the environmentalist types? Yeah, so I'm going to go to Burger King and they're going to give me this giant plastic crown to wear so I don't get too close to anyone. And not to be beaten, in Maryland, in the USSA, they're now using bumper tables to keep customers 6 feet apart. Yes, this is your new normal. How you liking it? Well, we wouldn't want anyone to ever get sick.
And that's some of the most crazy stuff I've ever seen. I mean, I don't know how they're getting people to do this. I can't understand why people would even be going to these places. I mean, you walk in there and they tell you to do this. Man, I'm going to be walking out again pretty quickly. Maybe I'd stay to get a couple of minutes of video just to show how fucking stupid these people look. But, you know, the stuff they can get people to do, folks. You know, what fear can drive people to do? It's insane, and it's all over nothing. Nothing. You know, there is no COVID, folks. COVID is simply the trigger that they use to roll out their New World Order system that they've been planning for years and years. You know, the really ultra-fine details of it, which have fully been in motion for the last 50 years, as clearly shown on the World Economic Forum website. They had this going even before they invented the internet, folks. And the true toll of this pandemic is going to be the destruction caused to the lives of the people if they allow it to happen. But like I said, I see a huge opportunity here as well. A lot of people won't make it through. A lot of people in the matrix won't make it through because they believe in the system and they believe the system will come and save them. But they're going to be on universal basic income. You know, there's going to be mass unemployment. Everyone's going to have to do what the government tells them, or they won't get their money. The whole social crediting system will be here. It'll be a Hunger Games type society. I really doubt whether I'll be traveling again. I really doubt it. I don't think it's going to be possible to travel in the environment that they're setting up in the new COVID reality that they're calling it. Because apparently COVID's here to stay, folks. It's like the war on terror. Now it's a war on COVID. And what is COVID? COVID is everything. Like I showed you on the last report, folks, toe rash, that's COVID, stroke, that's COVID, heart attacks will be COVID soon, car accidents will be COVID. I've got a bit of a gammy knee at the moment. I think I've got COVID knee. This arthritis in my thumb, this is probably COVID. Signs of COVID, folks. You get a runny nose, it's COVID. Start to grey. Getting grey when you get old, that's COVID, folks. That's what makes you age. This is the way it's going to go, folks. Everything's COVID now. So that's why I suppose all the hospital workers are dancing and stuff, because you're just not going to be needed anymore. They're going to get paid money for just doing nothing, because anybody who comes in there just going to say, well, it's COVID. They're not going to worry about it. You know, that video of the people dancing with the mops and stuff that I showed you in the last report, this is bizarre activity, folks. This is bizarre activity under anyone's standards. But for hospital staff to be doing it, all the doctors and nurses, and the way they said, oh, do you want to get through? Like, it's if it was nothing that they're just down there doing that while there's all these people up in the waiting room waiting for attendance, all the staff's downstairs rehearsing dance routines with mops. What the fuck is wrong with these people? Like I said, it's like we're in two different universes that have suddenly overlapped, and some people can see one reality and other people can see the other. I don't know. Strange thing, my friends, strange thing. But anyway, that's about all I wanted to share with you today. Like I said, I just wanted to come out because it was a nice day. And I wanted to share those thoughts about what's happening in Victoria and my complete and utter disdain for our health minister and our chief medical officer, neither of whom are doctors, and so legally neither of whom should be even allowed to be dishing out medical advice. Most of all, Greg Hunt, who had the gall to question why doctors would be questioning vaccines when he is not a frickin' doctor and is in no position to question what doctors are saying. I suggest you get an education, Mr. Hunt. If you're going to be the chief, you know, the health minister, then at least find out something about health, for God's sake. I mean, fuck, man, you're an embarrassment. This whole government is a fucking embarrassment. The whole state of the world is an embarrassment, folks. You know, one of the biggest embarrassments really, though, is the embarrassment. Sorry, folks, stumbling on my words. One of the biggest embarrassments is the state of the people. You know, the people that are simply going along with this and letting this happen and not listening. That whatever they're using over there sounds wonderful. So I'm going to sign off here, folks. Ultimately, when we look at this, folks, we've only got to look at ourselves, because we're the ones who are complying with all this. That's about time we stopped all that. But anyway, folks, I'll leave it there for now. Thank you for joining me on this report. It's always a pleasure to have your company. It's nice to be able to bring you back out into the country again and show you the surroundings here. Sorry about the bobcat that's working over there. Every time I come to the park lately, there's just something going on. Bobcats or lawnmowers or house builders, or just something seems to be happening. But it's a nice place to come anyway. But thank you for joining me on there today, folks. Thank you for all the emails. Thank you for all the information. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. Thank you for all the love. I really feel the love. I've really felt it lately. I've got so many kind thoughts from people and so many kind emails, and it's really, really appreciated, and it's really the food that keeps me going. So thanks for that, folks, and I'll join you again soon. In Lakesh.
I just wanted to clarify one thing. I'm surprised that a party like the Greens would be at the point where if you say the word pandemic, it justifies any authoritarian action of government. And the truth is, there's a global pandemic, but not in Australia. Australia's had less than 100 deaths. Australia's got 7,500 ventilators with 14 people using them. New South Wales didn't have an infection yesterday. There are large tracts of our big country that haven't had a single infection. We should be very grateful for that, but we shouldn't be alarmist and in the realm of hyperbole by calling this an Australian pandemic, when clearly, by good fortune or good management, it's not. I mean, you've got to legislate on the basis of reality, and you can't pretend we're Italy, Spain, the United States, Iran, or the United Kingdom. We're not. The Australian condition is very different. And I think we've passed the point where saying the word pandemic, which is not the reality of Australia in May 2020, justifies any authoritarian action of government. And I would have thought one of the important roles of this House of Review is to be naturally suspicious about the authoritarian role and functions of government, particularly when in this bill so many provisions have been jammed through where ministers, excited by the possibility of putting it under the banner of COVID-19 emergency measures, think they can do just about anything. And on the track record of the chamber this evening, they're pretty well getting away with it, which I think is a great shame for the parliament.
How did they come up with this number of 6 feet? I think they just pulled it out of their rear end.
Arrest you and we will take you to jail.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. Fuck you, I'm out. You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Let's go! Fuck this shit! We're all down to the face! Let's go! Get out there! Get out there! Get out there! Disobedience! Open the breach! Woo!
Outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line.